Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar from iCabbi Move AI, how to save thousands of dollars and grow your NEMT operation with our brand new product, Move AI. My name is Sinead Gillette, and I am the Chief Marketing Officer at iCabbi, and it's my job to welcome you all here today. I can see from looking at the participants joining here that I know lots of you guys, so great to see you joining. Current iCabbi customers. And I can also see names that I don't recognize, and you're very, very welcome too. And I guess for your benefit, I might explain a little bit about iCabbi and Move AI before we start, just so you're in the fold and part of the family. So iCabbi is a company that has grown out of Dublin in Ireland to become the world's largest dispatch provider for the taxi sector. And we have customers all over the world and a large customer base in the USA and Canada. So we know a lot about taxi, we know a lot about dispatch, and our customers for many years have been telling us about how they have diversified and moved into the non-emergency medical transportation space and have been looking for a solution for us to help them with that. So to give them the same world-class technology they have for taxi and apply that into NEMT, which is where we are today, which is why we created Move AI, a brand new product that we launched back in May. The beauty of the product is that it allows fleets to diversify from taxi into NEMT, but it also allows brand new customers to enter into the family. So anybody who does pure NEMT work, maybe they work in, or you guys work in school, student transportation, a mix, a blend with medical transportation, ambulatory, taxi. We can do all of that with this new product. And so we're really interested in showing this to you today, as well as to our current iCabbi customer base. And as I said, we launched the product back in May. We now have lots of fleets using the product, and we're delighted to see after 18 months, 24 months almost of development work to see the fleet starting to use it and get the benefits back in and tell us those success stories. And we're going to share some of those with you today. So our webinar today, we will keep it short and sweet and snappy. And the way we do all our webinars at iCabbi is by asking you guys for your feedback. So we want questions. We always welcome them. And the way to do that is to pop a question into the little chat box at the bottom of your screen, and we'll come to the questions at the end. So we will come back to your question. And if we don't answer it live, we'll respond to you as well. There are no bad questions. If you're thinking of something, somebody else probably is too. So do everybody a favor and ask that question. And so our agenda today, we're going to talk to you and share with you some of the stories of how people are benefiting from using Move AI in their business, talk to you about saving money, growing your operation, and increasing the quality of your performance so that you can report back to your broker or your private pay provider just how well your on-time performance is, your no-show cancellation rates, all of the stuff that we can do to help you improve your business. We are going to go through a technical or a use case demo of the product where you will see how to configure the back platform, which is on the MoveX side, and then how this works through the iCabbi side, how it dispatches, how your driver receives their bookings, how that flow works, and ultimately how easy it is to now add automation into this area of your business and sit back and concentrate on growing that business instead. Our two presenters today, two experts in Move AI. The first one is Kyle Summers, who may or may not be known to you guys. So Kyle is someone we're very, very fond of at iCabbi. He's our first ever customer in the USA. He's worked with us continually since we first met Kyle. He's been a partner of ours, and he is a super user and a fleet owner himself. So he really knows what he's talking about, and he's an absolute asset to us. So Kyle is going to talk us through the fleet owner's perspective on this product. And we also have Michael Bazov with us. Michael is part of MoveX. MoveX is a routing as a service platform that we found while we were looking to build out this Move AI product. We needed a solution that could bring advanced pre-planning and route optimization and re-optimization and build that into our current functionality. We found MoveX, we started working with them, and it went so well that we actually bought MoveX just back in December or January of this year. We got married. We're very, very happy in our relationship at the moment. And Michael has come from MoveX, and he's now the project manager for Move AI within iCabbi. So these guys are going to lead our webinar for us today, starting with Kyle. Hello, Kyle.
Hello, Sinead. Sorry, I'm trying to get my video back on.
That's okay. You've got a load of screens to start sharing with us and to and to navigate through your demo. So you're on play at the
All
moment.
right, there we
How are
go.
things with you,
All
Kyle?
right. Things are great. Thank you.
Good. Okay, over to you.
All right. My name is Kyle Summers. I have been an iCabbi customer since 2014, and I have also worked with iCabbi both as an employee and contractor for a handful of years during that time. I have a group of taxi cab companies in the Washington, D.C. area, around 300 cars. We do a lot of non-emergency medical transportation, and I'm also what Sinead said, a super user. I love the product, I love the software, and I especially love the industry. So, what can Move AI do for your fleet? And what we'll show during the webinar is how this can work. So, one, it can reduce costs. It reduces costs by the ability to make sure that you are dispatching optimally, that you are reducing deadhead, um, that you are able to plan the routes to make sure that you are able to transport as many passengers as possible with as few vehicles. Now, this product isn't just for non-emergency medical transportation. It can also be used for deliveries. It can be used for shuttle services. It can be used for school transportation. Really, the limits are very few, and I feel like it can go into many different new verticals for a traditional transportation company. Um, Using the software, you'll be able to grow your fleet. You'll be able to take on more business with your current vehicles and then be able to start attracting new business, um, and thereby be able to bring on more drivers to service that work. And then it also gives you a lot of tools and parameters where you will be able to improve your performance. As taxi cab fleets with accounts work that has strong SLAs, service level agreements, you need the right software that makes sure that you are able to meet those SLAs so that you are not in violation of what your accounts require for you to be able to be paid. Some accounts, as I'm sure you know, will give you monetary fines. In my company, we have a couple of accounts where if we are late a certain percentage of the trips, we get fined $100 on each trip. It can be substantial. And there are some companies or accounts that actually will charge quite a bit more. Now, how Move AI serves to increase operational efficiencies and reduce costs. You're going to be able to do the same trip volume with fewer drivers. It reduces the payroll costs if you have employee drivers, or if you have independent contractor drivers. It allows you to use the same amount of drivers but take on more work, so you can create larger margins in what you're taking from each trip if that's your charging model. It also automates a lot of those manual operational tasks, leading to the requirements of having as many people focused on creating routes for drivers or doing some of the other things that you're about to show you. It's also going to save on vehicle and fuel costs. Now, for vehicle, it's pretty easy to see where if you're currently servicing 3,000 trips with 300 vehicles per day, and you know, using the software, you're able to service 3,000 trips with 270 vehicles. Well, then there's substantial savings there. With fuel costs, this software allows you to be able to plan the routes so that you minimize the miles the driver is driving from point A to point B to get to the next trip. It also will reduce the driver's you know uncertainty of where the trips are. Now it's highly flexible, so each fleet is probably going to use it differently than the next. And I'm excited for Michael to show the parameter side of it and how it works when you set up Move AI to communicate with iCabbi, because it'll show you the power that is there. It's also going to improve on operational efficiencies. This works once it's set up. It works by itself. You can schedule it to continually optimize. You can schedule it to optimize your trips on a regular basis. But you don't need somebody to go in there and do it. It can assign trips to drivers. It can create the routes on its own based on the complex parameters that you set up with the team as you are deploying the software. Now, one of our longstanding customers has been using Move AI for quite some time and want to do a quick video that he shared.
We are on Move AI just a little bit over 6 weeks now, and we're already saving around roughly $10,000 a month in just our payroll cost, as we're able to do things a lot more efficiently, and we are delighted. There's a lot more that we can do with this software. We are.
So how can Move AI help your fleets? One, it's going to help you reduce costs. Two, it's going to help you grow your fleet by going into new verticals or by increasing your capacity to take on more work from your current customers. And it also is going to help you improve performance because it will only create routes based on the SLAs that you set up in Move AI. Now, how can using Move AI to expand your operation? How can you use Move AI to expand your operation? One, you can take on more trips with the same amount of drivers. You can increase your trip revenue and increase your net profit. You can also win more contracts. I've already started bidding on contracts using Move AI, and the responsiveness or the responses I've received from these contracts has been phenomenal. It's completely taken me from, I'm in the middle of the pack in terms of whether I'm going to win the contract or not to the top. They see the savings that they will have by using a product where passengers can be shared together automatically. It allows me to actually reduce the charges that I'm making in the bid for the contract. So it's I'm very excited about what it's going to do for my business and to expand into the verticals that I'm not currently servicing. Now, how are you going to improve your operational performance with Move AI? One, you can increase on-time performance. A lot of these accounts will tell you that you can be 10 minutes early or 10 minutes late and still be considered on time. And you have to report on whether you're late or on time. And then you could either lose the contract or be fined if you violate the SLA. Move AI, knowing what those rules are, will only create routes that do not violate them. So maybe if a passenger can be picked up 9 minutes early, and then there's another passenger who can be picked up 5 minutes later than their scheduled pickup time. Well, in that case, it could merge the trips into 2 separate trips together, and then still be in agreement with the SLA so that you don't have a violation. In the event that it could not get there within the 10-minute window, then it would not put those trips together. It also gives you the ability to handle on-demand trips. So when on-demand trips come in, Move AI can look at those trips and can see if it can insert them into a route that's already being serviced. Maybe a driver is driving right by that pickup on a route, and if there's time, it could insert that trip into that route, so the passenger is picked up quicker, and thereby also reducing any deadhead mileage. It gives a better patient experience, and it does this by reducing being late for pickups, ensuring that the passenger is picked up soon after they leave the hospital visit. Also, for other verticals like deliveries, it allows you to really take on a lot of complex delivery schedules, create routes, and then put them all in one vehicle or multiple vehicles based on how spread out they are, and reduce the cost potentially, or at least be able to do it in a quicker, more efficient way to deliver the packages. Now, with that, you also can then send the tracking link, so the customers always get their individual tracking link for their part of the journey during the trip experience. As we talked about earlier with on-time performance, adherence to broker SLAs. When Michael talks later, he'll show you these parameters that you're able to set. And then real-time adjustments to trips and routes. Now, you might have a route, a driver might have a day planned out, and one of the trips gets canceled at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Move AI immediately will go in and see, okay, are there any other trips that we are able to take that aren't part of a route and insert into that trip to reduce that driver's waiting time for his next trip. And it's consistently working based on the settings you have selected to try to optimize and improve the efficiency. Oops. All right, Guess we'll jump to this. Sorry, I lost the last two and I don't know how to get back there. Sinead, can you help me?
I think you're about to share. So this is a case study of one of
There
our
we go.
customers
Sorry.
who's
Yeah.
reporting great benefits on their on-time performance. If you just click backwards to the left.
I got it. Yep.
Got it. Okay.
All right.
Ace Taxi, Cleveland.
Yeah. I see that. Okay. So seamless will call solution. Will calls, that's, a lot of these medical trips, passenger has an A leg scheduled for pickup at 8 a.m. The insurance company doesn't know how long they're going to be at the pickup at the facility. So they just put in a will call for, let's say 2300 at night. So the passenger, when they're ready, they can call up, get the trip dispatched. This is really where Move AI really does something special for the transportation, for taxi cab companies providing this type of work. Those will calls a lot of times are where NEMT companies are getting in trouble with their broker SLAs and their on-time performance. When that will call trip is dispatched, they have X amount of minutes to pick up that passenger. Now, if it's really far away or all the vehicles are occupied, then there is a problem and you might not pick them up in time. Well, with Move AI, it can look at that and it can then insert it into another route so that it is picked up within the SLA. And then this software is going to increase trust and reliability with the customers, with the passengers, also with the brokers or accounts, by showing the increased performance, the improved SLAs, and then also with the drivers. The drivers are going to like this because they see they're spending less money on gas. They're taking more trips with less miles, and they're making more money because they're servicing more trips at the same time with ride sharing, if that's how you want it to run. Now, Ace Taxi is based in Cleveland, Ohio. Been in the industry for quite some time, and they're very innovative. So here's a video with Tim Lewis, the general manager.
The size of our fleet is roughly 100 vehicles, and that's a mix of ACE-owned vehicles and vehicles that were brought in by independent contractor drivers. Over the years, we've evolved due to influences such as rideshare programs coming in for competition, as well as COVID, and we decided that a change was needed in terms of the type of customer that we would be working with. So my background was in non-emergency medical transportation, paratransit, and I knew what to look for, who to look for. So we very early got into the non-emergency medical transportation marketing. So we were able to secure some customers, and when the bottom dropped out of the private business, we did have some non-emergency business to keep our doors open and our lights on throughout until we got on the other side of COVID. We do about 200 bookings per day, and of those 200 bookings, roughly 80% are non-emergency medical transportation trips. As far as Move AI and the future, we expect to probably be able to add 50% more trips with the same fleet size and driver team that we have as current. Previously, we were relying a lot on our dispatchers' expertise, our drivers' expertise, in terms of, okay, I can get from here to there, there's this roads, and it was a lot of guesswork, and there was no science to it at all. With Move AI, you've got a consistent method of getting the routes built, the driver manifests ready for the next day, and the drivers see consistency, and we're able to give Move AI the driver's starting location of their home. So hopefully the first trip that they see is going to be a trip that's close to home. So they get out, they get moving, they've got somebody in their back seat right away.
A really big improvement at what we had previously. It allows us to multi-load them. Multi-drop them off, so I don't have to switch around. It's all in there already.
As far as the results of what Move AI has done for us, it has aided in our on-time performance. I see all of the complaints that have come in the past as opposed to where we're at right now. I feel like we've definitely had a reduction in complaints due to on-time performance or being late. And where it's particularly helped us is with will call returns. When you're in the non-emergency medical transportation field, you get a lot of will call returns, and they can come in at all kinds of crazy times, and you can get a heavy demand at one time. And it's allowed us to keep up with that. Knock on wood, I don't want to jinx that. It's allowed us to keep up with our will call returns and keep our customers happy.
The benefit of Move AI is really allowing us to increase our capacity so we can take on more work, so we can increase our profitability for our drivers. So thus far, it's been a windfall for everyone involved. So we're excited to see what the future has to offer and what more we can do with it.
We look forward to our future with Move AI. I encourage every operator out there to use it and give it a try, and you'll find success.
All right, so how does Move AI work? There are over 100 configurable parameters. You create driver assignment rules. So do you want the system to assign the trips to drivers automatically, or do you want it to be done just how trips are dispatched? Driver scheduling. Drivers can select where they're going to start the day, at what time, where they're going to drop off, and when. And the system can create routes based on those starting points, ending points, when and where, or what times, and then create efficient routes for the drivers. And it can also balance the routes so that you don't have one driver making $1,000 in a day and then 10 drivers at 100, but instead you have, 11 drivers making roughly $200 in routes. Automation engine. There's an automation engine too. It's really cool to just have this automate and do it all on its own. And you select the schedule, how frequently, which Michael will show. And then the driver manifest. This is new on the iCabbi driver app, where the driver is able to see their manifest of trips for their routes and be able to look at the information and then be able to send them early if needed as well. Now, the real-time re-optimization and the ability to adapt when things change. This is the future of the industry. The ability to adapt on the fly automatically without having to tell the system what to do. The information that's in there in iCabbi, it's substantial, and everything that's out there. And with Move AI being able to look and see, well, how bad's traffic, what's happening, how many trips are on the board, with no shows and cancellations, and the re-optimizing and ensuring that the drivers are spending as little on gas to service the trips, and then being able to service as many trips as possible with the vehicles that you have available. So edits to bookings, on-demand bookings, it is able to handle those. And then also in and out wait times. There are some trips, some facilities, for example, methadone clinics, where you go in and you're there for 10 minutes and you get your medicine and then you leave. With Move AI, it's able to detect that. And so instead of, having that driver drop the passenger off and then go on to the next trip, the system knows that that passenger will be out in about 10 minutes or so, and then be able to include the return trip, which is a will call, as the next trip, so that the driver waits and then takes the passenger back. It's pretty slick. And then coming soon, traffic updates, congestion, closure, weather. As I'm sure you know, we've invested a lot of dispatch or development resources into Google On Demand, which is allowing us to be able to use the accurate Google ETAs that of course you all see on Google Maps, but at the enterprise level, as a software, a service, Google sells this as a solution being used by the likes of Uber and Bolt And Google Maps, of course, is then embedded into the iCabbi driver app. Well, it's able to then see all those ETAs of the drivers and what's happening and provide them both in dispatch, but then also to Move AI. So Move AI knows what's happening. And so coming soon, it's going to be able to look at all of that information to be able to re-optimize and to make sure the routes are as efficient as possible. So with Move AI, more trips serviced by less drivers. Now I'll hand it over to Michael so he can start demoing the platform.
Thank you, Kyle. Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Bezov. I'm with MoveX and, of course, with iCabbi, COO at MoveX and project manager for Move AI. I will present now the MoveX product, which is, of course, integrated into the iCabbi piece. And we'll go over some of the stuff that, of course, Kyle was mentioning. And you'll see how exactly we operate behind the scenes with the help, of course, of the user interface that we also built for the product. Let's confirm that, yeah, you can see my screen, I guess. So the MoveX product is, of course, a cloud-based solution, so you can enter it through any browser. It's seamlessly integrated into the iCabbi platform. And for the existing iCabbi customers, and of course for newcomers that will be in the future, we've built the integration to the iCabbi side. So with the help of entering a few critical information, such as the API URL, key, and secret, we can allow you to integrate the iCabbi side to MoveX so we can get all the data needed. If that's accounts, attributes, drivers, vehicles, or bookings. With the help of that, of course, we're doing the route optimization and some other features that I'll elaborate on. We have two different options for the integration. One to basically allow you to work with the platform before you're actually seeing the results on your live platform on iCabbi as a one-way integration, which means you can have your data as a playground that you can create groups or journeys. You can play with the wait and returns features. You can do the driver assignment, feel comfortable with how the platform is doing the results. It's all about getting the confidence, of course. And you will see that in a very quickly manner, you'll get very confident with the results. And of course, in a very quick manner, you can actually tap on the two-way integration and enable everything to start going from the MoveX side to the iCabbi side. Now, as I mentioned, of course, once we're doing the integration, we're getting all the bookings into the platform and how exactly these bookings are being routed into these journeys, possibly, or based on your own business logic. So if we'll go here to the system settings sections or to the routing section that MoveX has, you can see here more than 100 different parameters that we support for the routing settings and for the driver scheduling piece. And just to go over some of the settings that we have here, for example, if you would like to create a journey with no more than 6 stops, I will do it right from here. If I want to create a journey with no more than 2 hours time, that's 120 minutes, I will set it up right here. Of course, I can limit the amount of passengers or to have control on the SLAs, for example, to how long I can be late for a pickup or for a requested pickup time, and how much time I can be there before time in order to allow these groupings to be created. There are additional settings that can be set up. For example, I can say that I want the groupings to only be performed on the same pickup or drop-off locations. I can do it only for specific locations or areas as well, and not always have the system just do any single booking that it can possibly do. So that's the settings. of course, the ones that are interested, we can always do a deeper dive in with one-on-one demos, and even possibly offer you the ability to send us your own data so you can actually see how the magic really works. Now, these system settings are supported in a few different levels. We support it through the whole site level, so these settings will be applied on the whole operation. We have it on the account level as well, so we can have all the accounts coming in from the iCabbi side, and then I can say that for specific accounts, I want to act a bit differently. For example, for one account, I would like to say that we are not supporting any journeys, so I can just highlight these or turn on this setting, and basically everything will become individual trips. And so on, all the other settings, of course, are available on the account side. In addition to that, we support the settings on the attributes level. So if I have a wheelchair attribute, for example, we have advanced settings, and each one of these settings can be applied on the wheelchair level as well. So for example, here, if I want to have different boarding times, loading, unloading times for the wheelchairs, I can easily extend the parameter here to 300, for example, and that will be in seconds. And this will make sure that we're taking into account the boarding and drop-off time for each one of wheelchair passengers that we have. So that's in regards to the system settings, at least from the routing perspective. I'll move on to the driver's piece, when, of course, if we would like to do the driver scheduling side, we get all the data from the drivers. As you saw in one of the videos that Kyle was showing, Tim mentioned that we have starting addresses for the drivers. So we not only work with default car location for everyone, of course, every driver has its own preference, and we can easily create a starting address for each driver. We can create different zones for each one of the drivers, or different areas that each one of them likes to work at. And based on that, the system will do the driver schedules. And of course, each one of the drivers has its own attribute. So when we are matching the drivers to the relevant trips, we'll take the attributes as well into account. One of the features that we have here is the driver shifts. And this module is very friendly, I guess, for the dispatchers, because it supports 4 different views. So we have a calendar view where in a monthly filter, you can actually see all the driver schedules that we have for this month. Can do the same with a weekly view, and I can see here exactly who's working today and who's not. And based on that, the platform will do the pre-planning for the next day, if, of course, you would like to do such pre-planning. What's common with non-emergency medical transportation, of course, is that our fleets are already aware of most of the work that's going to be operated for the next day. So it's definitely a common feature for them to use and pre-plan the next day. So each driver will get his own manifest, again, based on these attributes, these driver preferences, and the driver's availability. One more thing, of course, that we have here is the automation center. And the automation center basically allows us to create schedules, or to create schedules that runs periodically, or schedules that will go by basically by events. Or should I say automations that goes by events, and automations that goes with different schedules. Give you an example, we can create a trigger that says that an event or a trigger that goes every time that a booking is created, the system will actually perform a routing process. Not something that you will actually do or would want to necessarily do with non-emergency medical transportation. The most common actions that you will probably going to do is to use a schedule that runs on specific days of the week. You can then say that you will want this schedule to run recurring, let's say every 2 minutes. I can also have a starting time for this automation. And then you can actually run a routing process that if we want to plan, let's say the next day, I would say that I want the system to run every 2 minutes for the next day between midnight to 23:55. That's how the system will know to pre-plan the next day, and every single booking that comes into the platform within that time range, every 2 minutes, there's going to be a process that takes everything and route it based on the system settings that we've configured. Same thing that we are doing it for the route optimization, of course, for the routing process. We can do it for the driver assignment or the driver scheduling piece. So same automations can be applied there. You can turn on and off these automations. And of course, as I mentioned, to do it on different, to act differently on weekends and weekdays, for example. For your convenience, we've built an automation center, so you don't really have to guess what you need to do. You can actually select a template here, and it just gives you the information that you need in order to run the automations for the automations for you. Going to the booking section one more time. So based on whatever we just mentioned, we are taking all these bookings, and with automations, of course, we are creating the routes accordingly. So here we had an example of 300 bookings that were routed into 201, I believe, trips. And as you can see here, we have plenty of ride sharing that were created. So, let's give you a few examples. So this one, we have a pickup here, 11 minutes before time. As you can see, we utilize the SLAs that we were configuring. So if we were allowed to be there 20 minutes after time or 20 minutes before time, you can actually see it right here that we are going here to pick up the first passenger 11 minutes before time, and here 12 minutes after time. Now you might ask yourself, why not just arrive on time for the first passenger? If we will do that, then it will probably going to be late more than 20 minutes, more than the SLA that we were allowed to, and that's why we are balancing the time that we are going to ride for each one of the passengers. So expect to see, the ones of you that are interested of doing the journeys or the groupings, expect to see lots of groupings being created for you. And of course, it means that you can actually perform trips or your work with fewer drivers. That's another example of a route that goes from these two pickups and then drop off and another drop off. One of the things that we've mentioned, of course, would be the driver scheduling piece. So based on the drivers or schedules that were entered, we can see here that the drivers already been assigned for the work. And not necessarily that you need to use it, but at least maybe when you're actually getting the confidence of working with the platform, you can actually utilize our platform in order to view how the trips or how the assignment looks like for every single driver, and you can actually just review it right from the screen. If a driver has a few routes, then you can actually look or review it through the timeline view that we have right here. Few more features that the system supports is to create all kinds of custom rules. For example, I can create a trip priority that will prioritize the wheelchairs to be routed first or to be scheduled for the drivers, and only then to do other work. We can have as many as a level of priorities as you want, and each priority can also have different or multiple records in it. Same idea, we can have driver's priority, which basically means that I can prioritize drivers based on their attributes or based on even their ratings, or say if there are employee drivers and you want them to get more work or to be prioritized first, then we can do that as well. And if I'll give you maybe a bit of information of how exactly the platform works when you have automation or next to manual work. So of course, very important to say that this manual work is being performed alongside the automations. And sometimes, it's very problematic for dispatchers when there is an automation and they are not really satisfied for some reason, because they're used to, because they think otherwise, not really, doesn't really matter. But if for some reason the dispatcher thinks different than the platform, then of course they can always detach the bookings from the journeys. And if they will do so, the system won't take that booking and try to, let's say, regroup it once again. Or for example, if you'll have manual assignments made by a dispatcher, MoveX will work around these assignments and will never try to override the manual assignments that were performed by the dispatcher. One more thing that I will say, you do have options to manually group bookings right from the MoveX side. So if for some reason you want to have these 3 different passengers going together, you can actually go here and tap here on the group button, and this will make sure that they will be grouped together and the system won't intervene. And one of the nicest features I think that we are going to introduce by next week would be custom rules for passengers, that you can actually tell that you have specific passengers that are going to they're going together. And Kyle, I guess we're quite short on time. So I could hear Kyle speak, but I will just end this one feature so we can move on. And I will say that you can actually say that these 3 passengers, for example, are going together on daily basis, and then the system will just make sure, or the automation will make sure, that will continuously will select these 3 passengers and make sure they are going together on specific weekdays or specific time ranges, or even to specific locations. So there won't be any need for you to do these manual actions on daily basis, as probably some of the live fleets are doing today. Right now, I think, Kyle, if you can go back to sharing the screen, and we'll go over maybe a quick summary of what we were discussing, and I'll move it forward to you. So, of course, we went over the advanced routing optimization for scheduled trips. We have that on the account, sites, and attributes level. If it can go on, more than 100 parameters, of course. Driver assignment settings. Yeah, you can move on, so you'll have enough time for the other part of the demo. You can go ahead. We've discussed about the driver's availability or the driver schedules that can be entered to the platform. We went over as well, next slide. We went over as well the automations side of things. And of course, the driver manifest, when MoveX assigned the drivers to the trips, everything is visible on the iCabbi side and is, of course, supported on the driver app. And that's something that you will probably going to see right now with Kyle's demo. There's another slide, sorry. So we have the real-time optimization, of course. I'll do it real quick. So the real-time optimization means that if there are changes that happens during the day, for example, no-shows there that were made, cancellations, edits to bookings, on-demand bookings that are getting into the platform. Let's say wheel calls that now the time is changed and it's actually the time to pick up the passengers, and the in and out times, which are basically a very huge feature that we have for non-emergency medical transportation. And it's one of the biggest features that we didn't really have much time to talk about today, but all of these are being taken into account by the platform, and we're doing automated re-optimizations according to all the changes that are occurring throughout the day. Back to you, Kai.
Thank you, Michael, and sorry for not muting my microphone. All right, so this is so again, let me come back here. So let me share a new screen, and we will go over Move AI in iCabbi. Okay. So what you're seeing right here is, for everybody, I assume knows, this is iCabbi on the left, right? You see all the vehicles updating and moving as they change. Locations, their colors will also update and change based on their status. And then, of course, you can see the traffic to see what's happening in real time. Now, for this demo, I'm going to use a test system, so it doesn't show real data. But here again, you can see all the trips. Now, there's a new feature that was added a few months ago where you can start grouping your trips. So right now, looking at this, it's kind of hard to tell which trips are grouped together. But you can see that there are route numbers. So I can search for the route number in the keyword search, and this will 60, and oops, let's see, is it 6460R? I apologize, I forgot the shortcut. But again, there is a shortcut to be able to search for just the routes. But what I'm going to do to make it easier to see is I'm going to group the trips. So now they're grouped right now based on whether there is a route or there is no route. So if there were multiple trips that were individual, you'd see them all listed up here. Now, each route, if you need to, you can minimize. Now you'll notice this trip right here, we can see that it is paused. We can see which, how much the driver is making on the left. We can see how much the driver is making on the right. And then over here, we can see that these are reoccurring bookings. So this is also a new update where previously reoccurring bookings were really restricted on what you could do with them, especially over the API. Now there is the ability where you can actually adjust bookings. You can use them to create routes over the API. So all of your bookings that are in the system are able to be utilized. Now, anytime you change something or do something with a booking that's part of the route, so in this case, they're both paused. If I were to try to unpause one of them, you'll see you get a message that says, this booking belongs to the route, and because it contains two bookings, it cannot be dispatched alone. Please confirm you wish to dispatch all the bookings that belongs to the same route too. So you'll see right now, pause button's gone. They're both being dispatched. Likewise, if you were to try to send a job early or designate a single job as part of a route to a driver. So for example, this case right here, we'll send it to driver 999. Again, we're told that it contains two bookings and it cannot be designated alone. So when we designate that booking, we can see that it puts the driver on both of them. Now, over here, we get the fare offer screen, which is also different. Tells you how many total stops, tells you where the first pickup is, when it starts, where the last drop off is, and what the total distance and when it should end. I'm not going to accept this booking, and we'll come back to it in a little bit. All right, so now let's look at the map and see some of the different changes and the benefits. So I'm going to click on a booking that's near where I'm located on the map, and you can change the look of this here. I like this gray scale look for these routes, but you can have it look to be the more standard look. So again, I can see where the first pickup is, and you can click on these pickups, which is something new. So you can see the information about the pickup, the route number, and how many passengers are being picked up. And you can do that for all the different ones. Okay? But what we'll do here is we will dispatch this trip to the driver. Okay, so again, over here we have the fare offer screen, which I'll accept. Okay, and you saw at the top, that was the estimated earnings that the driver is going to make on that trip. And that is taking whatever you have set in your system. So if you're showing the driver price, which is what you bill the customer, the driver would see that. In this example, I only show the driver's cost. That's what they're making. So he only sees what the driver is making and not what the account is being billed. So now on the driver app, you can scroll down, you can look through all the trips. It gives you information in terms of, total amount of miles, the stops. And what's also interesting, you'll see right here, it has the pickup at 12:06. Now, if we go look at the booking in iCabbi, you will see that there is a new column called PTA, and that stands for Planned Time of Arrival. So in order to meet those SLA requirements, one, we need to know, well, what's the scheduled pickup time, which we can see that right there. It's 12 o'clock. Now with this account, you're allowed to be 10 minutes early or 10 minutes late. So it's essentially saying that for this route to work, the driver must arrive at 12:06. Pick up the customer at 12:06 to be able to go to the next pickup, which is scheduled at 12:20, but the customer is to be picked up at 12:13 because you just don't want to wait around for 7 minutes. All right, so the driver sees this. Now, when the driver gets to the pickup address, of course, he presses arrived. The driver is able to see what the requested time was, and then any other special instructions will be listed right here. The driver connect phone number is here. You don't see anything right now because I didn't put a phone number in the order by mistake. Now, you have two options here. You can request a no-show or you can press on board, passenger gets in the car. It's very easy to do. So if you want to get a no-show, you just uncheck the box. What's nice about this is if you have, let's say 10 students you're picking up in a little minibus at a school, well, you can just uncheck the students who don't show up instead of having to go and request a no-show individually for each of the students. Much quicker, much more efficient. So we are going to mark this passenger picked up. And now it's telling us to navigate to the next route. And again, on the map, you'll see that the driver's color changed because now passengers on board as we go to the next one. I do not have the proximity rules turned on. As you all know, you are able to restrict drivers from marking arrived or passenger on board if they're not at the pickup address within a certain distance. I've turned this off for the purpose of the demo and the simulation. So, okay, we get to the next call. We go ahead and mark arrived. Again, gives us the same prompt to, on board or to uncheck for a no-show. And it tells us that the scheduled pickup time was 12:20, but we should pick them up at 12:13 p.m. Right. And so we'll mark this passenger on board. And now it's telling us where to drop off the passengers. If there are multiple drop-offs, then it would tell you, okay, the next drop off at Reagan National Airport. And then it tells you Steve Hammerstein. And it tells you the amount of the trip. And then it would tell you the next stop, let's say at the White House in Washington, D.C. for Brian Smith, and it's 3084. But because both passengers are being dropped off at the airport, we are able just to press drop off. And now what we're seeing is the screen for passenger signature. This is an account that requires a signature. So it's going to prompt for both passengers. If you require a driver signature as well, then the driver will be told to sign. Now, this is an updated feature. It used to, where it actually shows the passenger's name. So the driver knows which of the passengers should sign at the given time. Okay, do you wish to complete the booking? Yes. Then we'll go to the, oh, where did it go? Lost my, all right, here it is. Okay, so sign that, and then we're all done. Okay, now driver is informed what he made on that trip, route completed. That will time out and just remove, but the driver is able to see his completed work over here, and we can see the bookings. So let's see. I think I had this. Okay, here it is. All right, so it shows the total amount for the two bookings. Okay, now let me come back here and let's go ahead and designate a booking to a driver that is a manifested booking. Looks like unfortunately that booking already was dispatched. I'm going to create a new booking real quick. Okay, we'll say for 1500. We'll do one more, and you'll see that it is able to do 1310. Okay, so that will route in a second, and then we'll assign the the trip to the driver so that you can see what the manifest looks like for the driver. In fact, while we wait for that to go into effect, there's another one right here that I will designate to the driver. Now, the frequency with which it routes, in this system, I think it's set for every minute. So it's waiting a minute and then it routes, and it looks to see if any other trips come out before it does it. So we'll go ahead and designate to the driver. Okay. On the driver app, you are alerted that you have a new route with 2 pre-bookings, with instructions for them to see where to pick up the first passenger, what time and when. As a driver, I go to my bookings and I can see first I can see if I have any available jobs today. And then I can see the manifest of the trip. So if I have, let's say, 10 different routes, or one big route with multiple drop-offs and stop-offs, those will all be listed right here. You can click on the pickups, drop-offs to see more information. And if you click on it, you can even start the route and send it to be dispatched early if needed. Now, some of the other features that we have added is your ability to start tracking when you're looking at your completed booking history, you're able to see the routes inside. So here I can see on this booking, which is billed individually, that it was connected to a route, which you also can then search in here for routes, so you can see the route number. And here you can see the individual legs, and if you click on one of the legs, it will pull up the new booking, so you could look at that as well if you need to investigate it. If there were any phone calls through iCabbi's phone system that were placed to either create the order, or the customer called back, or the driver called the customer, those recordings could be shown right here that you could easily listen to. Now, you can also prevent some staff from accessing those recordings, or you could maybe only allow yourself to do it, or whoever is involved in charge of those recordings. It's all permission based as to who can access those recordings. All right. Let's come back. Let me share my other screen. 1 second. All right. So now, with iCabbi, we have a full suite of products, from passenger app, driver onboarding platform, corporate web booker, regular passenger web booker, phone system, IVR. With all of our products, we have fleets who are reaching we have fleets with 2,000 cars in certain markets that have reached automation of 90%. So 90% of all their bookings are coming in over the API. Human doesn't have to touch them. We have some fleets who are fully automated, 100% with no staff at all taking any reservations, handles all the work on its own, whether drivers are out or not. So Driver Docs is a new feature that we've released. And what this is that it's designated to streamline the management of new and existing driver records. It empowers drivers with self-management capabilities, automating renewal reminders, facilitating updates for licenses and insurance records, and enabling easy editing of personal details. You can now optimize your operations, allowing your team to focus on what truly matters, recruiting drivers to your fleet while ensuring compliance and efficiency in record management. Our voice platform, this for fleets who've taken it on, is a game changer. Very flexible, very easy to use, and will completely change your operations if you use it. Now, let's move to the Q&A part.
Hey, Kyle, I'll give you a quick break there because you did a great job there. Thank you very much. And we would love to welcome some questions. I'm delighted to see lots of questions have come in during the presentation. And while we welcome more questions now, we might also get you guys to do some work for us. We would love you to take our poll today. Based on what you've seen of the Move AI product, how effective would this be for your business? So that's going to pop up on your screen in a couple of seconds. And if you can take that poll for us, it's really useful. We've built this product and all of our products on feedback and consultation with the market. So we listen as much as we talk. I know we've been talking a lot during this webinar, but we do love to listen to feedback as well. So when the poll pops up, please go ahead and take that and share your feedback. Some of the questions that have been coming in, I can see we're answering some of them behind the scenes. Question in from Marie. So the driver will see the pickup address for their next job on the manifest, and that's correct. Grant has asked, are the parameters available at the account level? Yes, Grant, they are. One here from Mark, my friend Mark. Hello, Mark. How are you? I think you're asking here, can Move AI be used for deliveries of medical equipment to managed care organizations, which is often timely and time-based? If I understand that your question correctly, the answer to that is yes. Move AI can be used to transport people. In fact, we have one customer, I think, who told me that he's actually using it to transport dead people, or not just sick people, but it also can be used for delivery. So any product or good can go in that, but particularly in the medical space, we can see the use case there for transporting blood or other swabs that need to go to the lab back and forth. It can be used for that, and also with medical equipment as well. It's certainly very easy to do. There's functionality on the MoveX side that allows for, for full delivery usage, where you can put in things like the weight of each package as well, and you can work to dispatch and optimize based on that. So there's some of the questions that I know the answer to. So I was giving Kyle a break there, and Michael as well. We do actually have a lot of questions in. There's a number in from, and I love to see people asking more than one question, which is Howard, I'm talking to you. Kyle, can you pick out some of those questions there, maybe from Howard, and see, can you give Howard a response?
Yeah, sure. So for the dispatching, is it real-time traffic weather? That's what Google On Demand does for us. So yes, that is being released as we speak. Some of the products have already been released into the driver app. The dispatching part of it is, I don't know the date for the full release, but it's, my understanding, imminent. So very, very soon.
Yeah. To add to the Google Fleet Engine side of it, that's a major change to how we're developing the iCabbi platform. That in time is going to absorb all 14 products that we offer within that platform, of which one is Move AI, but the driver app and our passenger app, voice, they're all being serviced now by a Google ETA, and there's different development layers on how we roll that out. So it's quite an exciting roadmap. I can actually share a document on that in our mail out that follows this, which explains more about Google and why it's a big game changer. I think one of the other questions that you asked, Howard, actually relates to calling the Google API for real time. Is that pinged per second? And yes, our partnership with Google is a kind of an all-in-one bundle, which we cover within our platform, and that allows us to continually ping the API, and that allows it to be real time. The difference being that if you have the public access to the API, ours is private. If you only have public access, you're being charged every time you call up the API for that response, and it can become really, really expensive. And in this instance, quality is directly related to quantity, and ours is at that per second level. So it's something that we're really proud to offer our taxi dispatch customers, which no other provider is doing, and it's something that's being brought into this space as well. Kyle, anything else there that you can pick out?
Yep, definitely. So let's see. For APIs to transportation brokers, who are you already set up with? There are integrations between iCabbi and MotiveCare, Veo. I have an integration access to care, but there's quite a few. If you want to reach out to me, or if you have any questions, or if there's a specific one, if you want to reach out to me, I can let you know if we're integrated, or we can talk about what it would take to get integrated. And then I think the last question that hasn't been answered was from Marie Sage. If the driver can see those pickup addresses in AI Move, why can they not see the pickup address in just regular iCabbi? Such as 2 pickups at an airport going to separate places, the driver is not able to see those addresses until they complete the first one. This is why Move AI was created, was to facilitate for this. So what you're describing right now is you have a primary booking and then you have a follow-on booking. The way iCabbi was built originally is when you have that one booking, that's the only thing you can see. So you have an active booking, that's a follow-on. It's although the driver said I'll take it, it's actually not with that driver for anywhere that he or she can see it until after that first booking is completed. So Move AI was created as a way to be able to combine trips on the driver app, but also keep them separate. Keep it separate from for billing purposes.
Yeah, and I
makes
guess
sense.
yeah, that's the reason for Move AI. That's why it's an upgrade to the iCabbi platform, and it also exists as a standalone product. It's because of that advanced functionality. So thanks, Marie, for qualifying or clarifying a second time there on that question. Michael, I can see you've been responding to people as well separately, and they're getting a text response. But from the questions that you've answered there, is there anything that would be worth sharing with the wider audience?
Yeah, I wouldn't say. I think that, yeah, one of the questions, some of the questions that we were asked was about importing files to the platform. And basically, we are more focused with iCabbi and MoveX about API integrations and making sure that everything goes through iCabbi to MoveX. Of course, we have the ability to import bookings directly to MoveX, but that's going to be less relevant once the integration is applied.
Okay. There's a question in there on broker level that Kyle, you might be able to answer.
Sure.
One in from
Yep.
Christopher.
So
Thanks, Christopher.
yeah. So with the Motive Care model, does it allow you to define a service area? So I use Motive Care. There isn't a way in our platform to say where you service to Motive Care, like in the integration, but that's done with Motive Care, and then they only send trips to you based on that. You can always block trips if you wanted, but yeah, Motive Care, they do it on their end to say where they're going to send you trips.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Christopher, for your thank you to that response. You're very, very welcome. Might be worth it just before we close, guys, just explaining a little bit about how we work within iCabbi in terms of development and continuous iteration of a product. We launched Move AI in May, and we're seeing, as you saw earlier on, where we're seeing fleets start to benefit from the product. We heard from George with his cost savings, and catching up with George recently, he's not looking really to reduce the drivers. He's going to grow his fleet. He's already winning more contracts as well. And we heard from Tim and Devo and Ace Taxis increase their on-time performance and their overall service quality. But that was just the first. That's just what was launched in May. So Kyle, you have been a customer of iCabbi for a very long time, worked with us and are close to the product. And Michael, could you share a little bit maybe on what people can expect to happen and how our product development typically evolves?
Yeah, sure. So well, once the product's released, and Move AI is a big part of our future. So the product's been released, but we also have a roadmap of what's going to be improved. So it's on stages. So we know what we have now. Well, and we also know the direction where we're going. So as this has been released and finished, any bugs that were found have been addressed. Now it's the plan out and rollout of the new features that are coming, which I think Michael might be able to expound on some of those features better than I can.
Can you just repeat the last sentence, Carl, for me? Thank you.
Yes. So what's expected in terms of what's on down the road of what's coming for Move AI, the features that are going to be added from here on.
Yes, definitely. So we have some very, you can say, even cool features that will be on the driver app, for example. So there's going to be turn-by-turn navigation, or even turn-by-turn navigation for ride sharing. So that's something that we are really excited to have in the next following weeks. In the product itself, we are doing a lot of things to support some manual actions. We are very focused on automations, I think, and some manual actions that you guys need, such as the custom rules that are going to be released next week for passengers, such as even manually deciding the order of trips and not just saying these two needs to go together. Things that will give you more control on the work. I think that while looking at the future, we do see us working more with kind of a machine learning or AI tools to improve the routing results and the assignments results. So that's something really promising that we are working with data analytics and people to get these engine algorithm even better when we'll progress with more data coming from, of course, the fleets.
Thanks, Michael. So I'm looking at our poll results here, and thanks so much to everyone who took part in that. And it's a really positive response there, with most people giving it a 9 or a 10 and how effective it will be for their business. So really pleased to see that, and thanks for that feedback. I guess the point we're making there at the end is this is the product as it is now. But we are a tech company. We're dedicated to the market and to continuing to grow with you guys and with the demand and the needs as things evolve in the market. So the product won't stay exactly as it is. It will improve all the time and add functionality. So if you think this is good now and you want to be like Tim or Devo or George and start to see that impact on your business, that's absolutely wonderful. We would love to talk to you guys, and we will pop a link to our form in where you can book a demo or a consultation with us directly, and you'll hear from one of us shortly after this. And we'll also send that to you guys afterwards in an email, and we can talk through how the product will work specifically for your business. We know everybody has different types of broker agreements and SLAs to meet, and different contract obligations and different ways of running their business. So we can refine this conversation down to your particular case. But yeah, thank you so much for the feedback. We're pleased that this is something that you're excited by. It's something you can probably tell by myself and Kyle and Michael. It's something we're very proud of. We've been working on it for 2 years, and we're very happy to be able to have this out and about in the market now. And we really are just glowing every time we get some good feedback in about it, and working hard to drive it further and to drive it on, so that it can become the tool that everybody needs to help NEMT, which we all know is a growing opportunity for fleets across North America. And I say North America because I should mention, I can see some of our customers from the UK are on this webinar. So hi guys, hello to you. We are doing a consultation with the UK market at the moment. You may have seen that. We're looking for feedback on fit for the particular case in the UK. So don't worry, we are coming to you guys too. We're just dealing with the demand on this side of the pond first. So with that, guys, I'd just like to thank everybody for attending, for taking the time out of your busy day. We hope you found this valuable. You might be thinking of somebody else in your business that you wish were able to attend, but don't worry, we will send a recording of this afterwards, and you'll be able to share that with anybody who you think might find it useful. As I said, fill out the form and let us know you want to talk to us. We'll be back in touch, and we'll send that link to you guys as well in an email that will follow later on this afternoon. So thank you very, very much, guys, and hopefully see you soon.